Welcome back, everybody, to the show. I hope you're doing well. A lot that I want to discuss today, and actually, I didn't know how to fit all of these into different segments, so we're just going to do one big jumbo segment, and after we get through our headline one, stick around for the rest through this extra long story here. Let's start with Trump. We talked about yesterday. Vance was supposedly hosting at his residence an emergency meeting as they're panicking that the Epstein story just won't go away, obviously. And so they were going to hold a strategy session, Vance and other top officials, to figure out, what do we do here? Do we release the audio transcript of the conversation between Ghislaine Maxwell and Todd Blanche that led to Ghislaine Maxwell seemingly being transferred to this cushy prison? Trump gets asked about it and says, shut up, that's BS. And then Vance gets asked, so are you holding this meeting?
Mr. President.
The two Kevins, very good.
Mr. President, is Vice President Vance hosting a gathering this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
Is he working on what?
Is he hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
I saw it reported today, and it's completely fake news. We're not meeting to talk about the Epstein situation, and
we're meeting to talk about the Ghislaine situation. Get your facts right.
I think the reporter who reported it needs to get better sources.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats because we've had the most successful 6 months in the history of our country, and that's just a way of trying to divert attention to something that's total bullshit. Okay?
Whoop.
Bullshit.
Whoa. Wowza. Now, Vance is lying. Trump's wrong. Vance is lying. They did have a dinner planned. Then sources leaked it, and then they canceled it. Planned dinner for Trump officials to discuss Epstein appears to have been moved amid media scrutiny, which just do the dinner. What he should have done is, no. I just really enjoy the presence of Kash Patel in my home. No. We're doing a really aggressive Catan night. Kash, he is obsessed with getting the bricks. He loves the bricks or the clay, whichever word you use in Catan, and he'll steal them. So he always wants to be the banker, you little goober, Kash. And so he'll steal them. He'll put it under his leg, and then he just has brick after brick. He's always bricked up. It's so weird. He's a funny guy. So that's what the dinner's about. We're just playing Catan. We might throw in War, the dumbest card game ever. It makes no sense. It's just luck. Why would you even play that? There's no strategy involved. Whatever. And it has nothing to do with Epstein. But they canceled it. They rescheduled. And then supposedly there was a meeting at the White House, maybe. But these are emergency proceedings. They thought they could just trust Trump to wave it away like he does other controversies. But every time Trump would talk about it, it would get worse. So now they're amid that emergency trying to figure out what to do, but postponing Catan night, supposedly. This is just baffling. That is Alex Jones's voice in a different octave. They are postponing that meeting, which is causing, or the 180 is causing Alex Jones just to be so bewildered.
My job is to research things, to have sources that have been accurate over the years that I go back to, and to have a large grasp of history, and to then try to bring you the best analysis I can on all the major issues of our day. And my job is usually very easy because I've been researching for over 35 years, well, over 31, and I've got a good grasp, an excellent grasp on most things. But
I've been researching my entire life. I've been reading. I've been combing over the different texts. And I did, 30, 20, 25, 20 years, I think. And I've now read 2 books.
This Trump Epstein stuff is a real whodunit mystery. And it's a real life.
I love that. Oh, maybe they're playing Clue at the dinner. It's a real whodunit, right? It's like Trump's all over it. He's the one covering it up. He has all the interest in covering it up. He keeps telling us to stop talking about it. He was really good friends with Epstein. He was really good friends with Ghislaine Maxwell. He reportedly had the FBI scrub his name. Whodunit. This is tough. I love how he's filming this video. Listen, this is really I'm struggling with this, guys. Guys, this is tough. I can't figure out who done it. What are we doing? Just set up a camera and talk to it. Why do you have to move it around like this?
Soap opera. Now we know Epstein was Mossad, involved with CIA as well.
Okay. I'm sorry, I keep pausing. That's so annoying, I know. Please do, as we continue to, is click the subscribe button. It's free. Supports the show and the algorithm. And again, stick around through this whole segment because we're going to have a lot of fun. This isn't even the most fun story, I don't think. Obviously, it's a very dark story, but how we're going to treat it. But he's saying this is a mystery, whodunit, and a soap opera. This would be the dumbest soap opera to bring to a producer ever. What if we did a story where, like, right from the beginning, one guy's guilty, and then the whole time he's guilty, and then at the end you learn he's guilty? Soap opera. Okay, so he's bewildered is the point of that clip. Someone posted this AI. This is fake. One of the stories we're going to talk about today is Chris Cuomo getting confused by a fake video of AOC. This is a fake video. Okay, so let me just say that clearly. Chris, don't post this. This is fake. But this is what they're going to post pretty soon out of the DOJ.
President Trump did nothing, at least in my presence, that would be cause for concern. He was always a perfect gentleman, an elegant dancer, a gifted poet. He spoke Cantonese fluently. At one point, he threw a football 300 yards, and it somehow boomeranged back to him. I saw a grizzly bear charge him, and he delivered such a withering barb that it retreated in shame.
Yeah. And actually, a little other part of the Ghislaine Maxwell interview that I heard was that she recounted how young girls, no. Trump had this weird thing where he would only go 70 plus, even when he was 40. He was always like a few decades ahead. He would only date 70 plus year olds. Melania is actually 70, shockingly. She doesn't look it, but so no guilt there on the younger side. That's a fake video. I just need to make sure nobody gets confused. But the reason that's funny is because after the interview, Todd Blanche or somebody leaked that Ghislaine Maxwell said she never saw anything concerning with Trump. And it's like, well, yeah, obviously she's going to say that. The second she implicates Trump, her whole chance of clemency falls apart, and her getting a favor done by him, which seemingly is what they're building towards. Scott Jennings did not like that this was brought up.
With that in mind, Scott Jennings, we just heard the clip there. Why is J.D. Vance so concerned with bullshit?
Well, I'm going to apologize to my 11-year-old who's in the green room trying to watch this show right now for our potty talk tonight.
Well, the president's potty talk, let's be fair.
Well, you've certainly
I'm so sorry for repeating the president of the United States.
Look, here's the deal. I don't know what they're going to do. I know that the dinner they were supposed to be having, they say, the vice president directly says, was not about Epstein. I don't know if they've made any decisions. I don't know. I don't know what they're planning to do. I didn't know what they were planning to do last night either. Nothing has changed in the last 24 hours. And so I assume at some point they're going to have to release some information. I assume at some point the members of the Republican leadership in Congress are going to have to decide how to handle a vote when they come back in September. But we're having the same conversation tonight that we had last night, that we had Friday, that we had Thursday, that we had Wednesday, and so on and so forth.
Is that our fault? I think he's mad at us for that. It's our fault that Trump, every time he goes in front of cameras on this issue, makes it even worse. It's our fault that Ghislaine Maxwell, which should be a huge scandal, Mehdi Hassan said this should be a national scandal. Democrats should be all over this, as should the media. Ghislaine Maxwell's transfer to Cushy prison is a travesty of justice, as it is to the puppy camp prison, to the yoga classes prison, to the arts and sculpture and painting work prison. She's probably going to have a more fun day-to-day routine than I have. Okay? I at least have to work. I mean, it's shouting at a camera. It's not that tough, but I don't do any painting. And that is happening, and Trump makes it worse every single time. It's not really our fault that we're bringing it up. It's his fault that he can't get this to go away by actually handling it properly. He also said that he was annoyed with the news anchor for repeating that Trump said bullshit.
Bullshit.
Does he let Trump watch, or does he let his son watch Trump rallies? because they get pretty vulgar. Son, I'm so sorry you had to hear bull poop. All right, now watch the rest of the show. Notorious sex trafficker of children, Ghislaine Max is like, well, none of this is appropriate, Scott. Now in other news, moving on from that, you have someone who worked at quote-unquote Alligator Alcatraz, the prison where undocumented immigrants are being held, that has notoriously terrible conditions. That's the point. This is not about safety or getting criminals off the streets, it's about grabbing up whoever they can, regardless of their past, often making mistakes about immigration statuses and throwing them into the worst conditions. And someone who was a corrections officer there said it was inhumane.
I thought it would get better, but it never did. It's inhumane the way that they're keeping their residents. When I got there, it was overwhelming.
She shared her state of Florida credential, which lists her position as a corrections officer.
And it goes through a bunch of details you can find on your own if you're interested. Former Alligator Alcatraz corrections officer describes inhumane conditions like an oversized kennel. So that's what's happening in the backdrop of all of this. But what are a lot of right-wing accounts focused on? The war on the sorority girls. Okay, so Sydney Sweeney, right? They were really obsessed over that and how apparently people on the left, that it was really difficult to find random TikTokers who are supposedly the most relevant people in the history of the world, according to Fox News, were upset by the Sydney Sweeney ad. Okay, nobody was really talking about it, but fine. They was that Fox News said, pew, but then after covering that for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, the right said, we need a new thing. Okay, you know what it is now? The sorority girls are being taken away from us by the left. This is what the left took from us, says Old Row. Let's see what we took away from them. Oh, I can't play that. That's copyrighted. But look, boom, 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 boom. So podcast listeners, picture like a big sorority house, one of those sorority mansions, and it's a bunch of sorority girls and they're dancing. Okay, we took this away from them. I was at college during the height of the supposed woke moment, right? Where everything was being taken away. And they're right. There weren't any girls dancing in cowboy boots. I never saw at Texas State University cowboy boots and short skirts and sundresses. I never saw white claws, okay? I never saw pretty girls with white claws at sororities, ever. They took it away. It was gone. I never walked by someone and thought, did you dump an entire bottle of perfume on you? I never did, because they took away the sorority girls from us. I never got invited to a formal and thought, this is too many girls all in one place, okay? Too many girls, too much perfume, too many cute dresses all in one place for me to be at. This is a little bit much. I never thought that because it wasn't there. No one ever hooked up in porta potties anymore. But look at what the left is taking from us. College hookups and stinky porta potties at music festivals. It's gone. They took it from us. I do laugh because when they'll do this, like, oh, we don't get this anymore. I'm like, I don't think any of you have a social life. The people sitting posting going like, the left is trying to take beautiful women from us. They were posting that while I was at college. Around said women. Right? Like, I was at college hearing, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies, as girls were woo with a nice White Claw Truly buzz. As they're saying that's gone away, and now in its place is just big circles everyone sits in where they say their pronouns and talk about how white men have taken away joy. And this is going all over the place. Joe Kinsey said the purple hair lesbians have to be furious the SEC sororities are back. Where'd they go? Did they go somewhere? And there's more dancing. Guys, go to a college. It's there still. I was trying to sleep. Okay, so a little story. I was in college like 2 seconds ago. Still technically am, but you know, the show kind of took precedent. And I would be trying to record my show. I would be trying to record this show back when it was way worse. And I had literally, now we have all studio, it's great. I had a bed okay, like right here. And then on the bed was a camera pointing in the corner of a room as I'm like trying to record this show with the jankiest of equipment. And I would be grinding my butt off. And at like 4 p.m. on a Tuesday, I'd hear, autumn jeans, boots with the fur. And I would hear, yeah. And I would go, no, this is ruining my recording. And I would pull open the blinds and see a pool party out at the apartment pool like it was Saturday at 10 o'clock in the middle of the day on a Tuesday as I'm trying to work. Okay? So did I go down, get my White Claw buzz on and record the rest of the show? Maybe. Sometimes. Maybe I did sometimes. But it was irritating. But apparently it's gone. So that's the new thing. Like, they try, don't show this. Joe Kinsey said, the purple hair lesbians have to be furious, as I read to you. And then someone responded, Armin said, because there's nothing more lesbians hate than scantily clad hot girls doing sexy dances. It's like, wait, the lesbians are going to hate this? I think if I know the lesbians, they're all right with this. Okay? Well, where are they? Like in Magaverse? Sydney, by the way, Sydney Sweeney became famous during that like era, right? 2020 to 2024 when woke went out of control and everything became purple hair and pronouns. We will ban pronouns. And during that era was when I think Sydney Sweeney really became really famous. But apparently there were no more traditionally attractive people in media during that era in their world. And sorority houses just became systemic racism study centers. All right. Then Benny Johnson said, Democrats attack Sydney Sweeney. Which Democrat? Name an elected Democrat who attacked Sydney Sweeney. Democrats attack Sydney Sweeney and then make videos like this and then wonder why they're losing young men and women by 50 points. Young men and women? They're not losing. Democrats won women. What? Okay, whatever. And then I can't play it, but the video is Chelsea instead of Stacy's mom, it's Chelsea's mom. That was another song that would blare while I was trying to do my dang studying. I didn't study that much, but my show, when I would try to do my show, Stacy's mom has got it going on. Woo! Go Bobcats! Right? And I guess in the 2016 election, some group made Chelsea's mom, because Chelsea's the daughter of Hillary Clinton. It was like Chelsea's mom, like Hillary Clinton has it going on type of spoof. And he went and dug that up from 2016 to say that things have gone too woke. All right, fine. Now this is the real substantive part, okay? Since July 28th, Fox News has spent 4 hours and 50 minutes discussing Sydney Sweeney's jeans ad. They've only spent 40 minutes discussing the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein files. So Sydney's 7 TikTokers in college saying they thought Sydney Sweeney was dog whistling about eugenics with the good genes is more important than Trump's historic mishandling cover-up of his former bestie's criminal activity. In their world, 40 minutes is owed to that. 5 hours is owed to Sweeney. Who knows how many hours they're going to do on the death of the sorority girl. What is America without rushing? We need women to go and be interviewed about their what is even that? Like what? I don't even know what happens there. Do you know how to dance to Boots with the Fur? That's not the name. You know the point. You get the point. Do you have a fresh pair of boots and jeans that you could wear to a Western themed crossover frat sorority party? Do you? Okay, so without rushing, what is America? That's over 5 hours, I bet, pretty soon. And then 1 minute since July 28th was spent to discussing rising grocery prices. Trump's chief campaign promise. By the way, do lefties go crazy all the time? Yeah. Yes, of course. There are tons of wacky lefties because all groups, however you subdivide America, especially if you do it in half and this side, people are wacky. Like, I've lived a very long time in 22 years. But like, it was more than that within that, if it makes sense. It was like the longest stretch, 22. And in all those years, I've learned that about 1 in 10 people are reasonable. Okay? So if you break up the country into the right and the left, it seems like most of the right has gone wacky bonkers. And then you're going to have a ton of the left that's gone wacky bonkers. But I should still call out, and the left does it sometimes too, but this is the game, and the right does it like no one has ever done it before, which is you grab on to these obscure moral panics and random culture wars and force people to think more about whether when Sydney Sweeney was zipping up her jeans in the ad, if that was really Heil Hitler. That is what, because like the zipping noise, it's similar. If you slow it down and then you translate it to German, it says Heil Hitler. If you're focusing on that and we're screaming at each other over, you tried to take the sorority girls, but I need the sorority girls. Who's gonna buy bleach for their hair? That's not what it is. Hair dye. Then who's gonna shut up? You get it. I'm just having really fun with this one. Then you maybe won't focus on the issue that matters in your life much more, which is rising grocery prices. So that's stunning. Media Matters posted that. Playing into this same controversy, Chris Cuomo posted this video of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and it even has a disclaimer that says it's parody.
Sydney Sweeney looks like an Aryan goddess, and the American Eagle Jeans campaign is blatant Nazi propaganda. I mean, fuck. Watching that sultry little temptress squeeze into a Canadian tuxedo, 3 sizes too small, with her bouncy little fun bags on the screen staring.
Chris Cuomo, a news anchor, said, like, she's focusing on this instead of more important things. And this is what the left and right do, is culture wars. While he's doing the culture war, yes, please zoom into the disclaimer. Thank you. Look at this. Parody, 100% made with AI. And he had to come out and say, sorry, it was AI. I didn't realize that. And it's not just to beat up on him, but a lot of people's worldviews are being shaped in some cases by utterly fake things. Do you think, what did she say? Tempting sandbags? What was it?
Her bouncy little fun bags.
Bouncy little fun bags. Scott Jennings' kids, get out of the room. That's apparently a phrase for breasts. Bouncy little fun bags? That's wild. Chris watched this, supposedly, posted it going, wow, I can't believe AOC cares more about Sydney Sweeney than much more important things. And didn't think to himself, maybe she's not going to on the House floor go, well, dropping the F-bomb and then calling Sydney Sweeney's right, okay? Goodness gracious. Hey, Beyonce was in Levi's, though. Can we create a culture war out of this? I bet there's some angle. Okay? So if Sweeney's too Nazi for you, Beyonce endorsed Kamala, so we could buy Levi's instead. I actually, on accident, I mean, it wasn't on accident, like I don't feel bad about it, but the day after we originally covered that story, I wore an American Eagle shirt. See? Look at that. Mega. You could watch this show. You can trust me. I wore it. And I can't do it. It's a funny joke. I can't get it out. It's about like how my body fit into it, but then it just didn't. From the standpoint of me considering saying it, I said no. I said no. Okay. On to something different. Donald Trump is still trying to take over the Library of Congress is Rolling Stone. But the National Library, this was they called it a glitch, has apparently by accident modified its online copy of the U.S. Constitution to remove the president's least favorite part, the provision that guarantees people's right to challenge their detention and demands the government justify their confinement. Apparently, a part of the Constitution glitched itself out of it in the Library of Congress website and took out the part that Trump's currently violating. Why are they trying to make us conspiracy theorists? Like, as if that does anything. People are like, wait, what about habeas corpus? And you're like, check again. And speaking of violating the Constitution, a current DOJ senior advisor, someone who's high up in the Department of Justice, which, if you're Scott Jennings' kids and you don't know much about the world yet, is the law enforcement thing. And the law enforcement organization now has in high ranks a guy who stormed the Capitol on January 6th screaming F them about cops. Yeah, kill them. Yeah. And he's on video just for the sake of moving forward quickly. I won't actually play, but you can just show. Here, he's on video, admitted to this, was still being prosecuted for it, but then obviously was pardoned. And now he's working in the Department of Justice to enforce the law, to protect law enforcement in many cases. And he was screaming, kill him. And this is the Back to Blue movement too, by the way, apparently. All right, you can take that down. A little miscellaneous thing, the Environmental Protection Agency, as it passionately fights for pollution, plans to rescind $7 billion in awards under the Solar for All program, including grants to 49 states for lower and middle income households to install solar. Their obsession with opposing, just because the left likes it, I guess, green energy initiatives is now going to skyrocket energy costs for low income and middle income households. And it's so silly. There's logistical challenges. We still have to push forward the renewable energy industry a lot, of course, and that's why these sorts of things are important. And doing that, we subsidize the fossil fuel industry. We still do, but we've done it for decades to the tune of up beyond $1 trillion, billions of dollars every year flooding to them. So don't let them give you this, well, if it's so good, why do you have subsidies? Sometimes you want to push for an industry to be on the cutting edge of it. And we are giving up being on the cutting edge, for one. We're raising costs because they're engaging in, it's not really a culture war, but kind of, because they don't actually believe it's bad to have more affordable energy if it's renewable, which is the option we have here. The sun, notably, produces a bunch of energy, and if you capture it, it's good. Scott Jennings' kids, the sun's the big bright thing in the sky, and it's really energy. So energy. Wow. The sun. They call it the sun. And if we capture that, good. And we can use it. And it doesn't destroy the planet. But to own the libs, they're making your energy costs higher and cutting those. Then Nancy Mace now, the bathroom obsessed. She's going to monitor the bathroom and make sure nobody who has, this genital goes in that one. And that was kind of her big culture war. Another example of what we've been talking about throughout the show. She's now running for governor in South Carolina. And she's floated all around on issues. She tried to be moderate, and then she was like, oh, wait, no, we're going MAGA. So she went really MAGA and then made a huge show of, was it voting to remove was it Kevin McCarthy? And then she wore like the Scarlet Letter shirt. Is that what it was? She's like, oh, they're stopping me. Anyways, she gets asked about something and ends up saying she wants fluoride out of the water and the chemtrails to be banned.
To remove fluoride from our water. Fluoride from water, I would support any action to remove fluoride from our water and also ban chemtrails. Like, we should do that too. Other states are doing it. Tennessee, I think, recently did it as well. Florida just did it. We will follow. Again, I want us to lead. I don't want to be following, but if we have to follow other states until we get there, we will do.
So they get obsessed with the most random things. Contrails she's talking about, she called them chemtrails. I'll explain that in a second. But if you'll put this up, Jade, like that, right? Planes are flying, and then behind them there's a little trail, and it's white, and it looks kind of cool. Those are visible lines of condensed water vapor left behind by aircraft, particularly at high altitudes. These trails form when water vapor from the aircraft's exhaust mixes with cold air, humid air, causing the vapor to freeze into ice crystals. So that's what that really is. They call it chemtrails because they have a theory that sometimes it goes as far as the government is spewing out of planes different chemicals to harm the population. So their purpose is not just like the natural effect of a plane flying and then it creating this water vapor, or crystallized whatever, ice crystals. But instead is like a Bill Gates plot to leave behind these chemicals to make you impotent or something, or to make you hate sorority girls, or to kill off the population, or give you the COVID vaccine, or it goes in all different directions. So that's why she's saying that. I don't even know what that would banning chemtrails mean, banning planes. But then she also said fluoride. The recommended level of fluoride in water is good. The professionals, the experts say it's good for your dentally, orally, and is safe and effective. Obviously, if you had too much fluoride, it would be bad. But that's another thing that they've fallen for incorrect science on, believing that the correct levels that we have in water is harmful to folks. From my understanding, is their argument. And then you have this.
I'm going to show you a couple of my plants because I don't want you to believe what the fake news is going to tell you, that Nancy Mace only does memes. Not to take her seriously when I am one of the most serious members of Congress. They don't.
When you have to say it. By the way, while we continue to do this, please do go to drinkpep.com if you want to support my family business. An energy drink that gives you that energy boost without the guilt of the artificial flavors and the nastiness that's bad for your gut microbiome, but instead active probiotics that's good for your gut microbiome. Drinkpep.com. Order it directly to your doorstep.
I like conservative women. They don't like it when women speak up. The left hate women. They want men in our bathrooms. We're going to stop that in South Carolina because on day one, if you give me a bathroom bill, state legislature, I will sign it into law. We're going to keep men out of women's spaces.
Day one, we're going to stop the 2 trans people in South Carolina from going into bathrooms. I love how she goes, hold up. The media is saying that I'm just like a memer. I'm like doing memes all the time. I'm flying to different places, taking selfies with bathroom signs going, yeah, they have genders on these. They're not unisex. Woo. And I'm not like that. And that's why on day one, my top priority will be banning bathrooms. No, not banning bathrooms. Banning men from going into women's bathrooms or whatever. She said, now, to give you a sense of how much she's flip-flopped from being not super fond of MAGA, trying to be more moderate, all the way to now being a really extreme MAGA Republican, Trump used to say stuff like this about her.
In the 1st Congressional District, you have another horrendous rhino known as Crazy Nancy Mace. 2 years ago, she begged for my endorsement, and I pledged, and she pledged to be America first all the way. She's going to be, I'm going to be America first. She went to New York and stood in front of the magnificent Trump Tower. Has anyone ever heard of Trump Tower? And did a commercial insinuating that I was endorsing her. She's standing over in front of Trump Tower in New York.
Yeah, that was a bonkers saga. So she, after January 6th, like any reasonable person, denounced Trump and distanced herself, thinking that America was reasonable enough to not go back in that direction of the guy who attempted a coup and led to a riot at the Capitol. And then she goes, oh, shoot, I don't have principles. I just need to stay politically relevant. And so she goes to try to like make nice with Trump and films a selfie video in front of Trump Tower being like, Trump's great. I love him. And it's just the weirdest case of pandering to Trump. In other very different news, a Knicks player, Josh Hart, who went viral for drinking his wife's breast milk, tried a new ice cream flavor from a store that is supposed to taste exactly like actual breast milk, despite them specifying it doesn't have actual breast milk in it. And what I found really interesting about this is that this is actually Bobby's new recommendation. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is rolling out a new policy. He's getting rid of the vaccines, and instead, he recommends that you drink a stranger's. This is the important part of it. It can't be a relative. He recommends that you drink at least a gallon, a day, of a stranger's breast milk. So it's either raw milk or breast milk is his new medical recommendation. That is not serious. That is a joke. Just in case anyone got confused, you can take that down. Jaden, what are you Googling? What are you up to there? I don't want to see what you're up to. No, nothing. Sometimes when I'm talking about stuff, you'll put it up on the screen to give you context. We don't need context. Okay. And can we all just... Are we to believe that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. didn't invent that ice cream? Like, that is so Bobby. If I heard that story, Reuters, why would Reuters report this? Reuters, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. starts new line of breast milk tasting ice cream. I would not even blink. I'd be like, yeah, of course. Awesome. Fox Business, Aaron Rupar says, this level of propaganda would be a bit much in Pyongyang, in North Korea, where they have some very aggressive state media. But even this goes a little too far. Watch how this Fox Business host sums up Trump's first 200 days.
You remember that one, right? 1980, Kool and the Gang released their biggest hit, Celebration. Listen, it became an international anthem of positivity and joy. Well, 200 days into the second Trump administration, there is a lot to celebrate and certainly a lot to be optimistic about. Think about this just yesterday.
Yeah. Wow. Celebrate good times. I thought that would be about to be like, and that song has been around for this many, and that band is going on tour. But instead, it's just a way to go. There's a lot to celebrate with Trump's first 200 days in office. Ick. A propagandist reporter asked a similar question to Trump during a presser.
Mr. President, you promised on the campaign trail to bring forth a manufacturing renaissance. You just mentioned $17 trillion in your first 7 months or so. Can you talk about how an investment like this, all the other ones that you laid out, will positively impact the millions of Americans that trusted you with their vote?
Thank you very much. It changes our country. I mean, our country is a very different country than it was 6 months ago. And people like Tim are coming. We had Micron in yesterday. We had all of the big, great companies that you read about, you don't know about, but you read about.
Okay, so a terrible answer to the question, which was how will this impact our lives? Well, it will change things. It'll be good. A lot of companies. But the reporter takes his number, which I feel like, I know the whole, it's worn out to be like, what if Biden? But I feel like if Biden came out and said, we've secured $17 trillion of investments into the United States, you would have reporters being like, oh my gosh, going on, and books would be written, and there would be this level of panic about why would he say such a thing? Why would he proclaim? Is it dishonesty or is he just deluded? Because remember, that would be more than half of the entire GDP of the United States just got added. Thank you. There we go. So supposedly more than half of our entire GDP has been invested into the country in the last 6 months on top, instead of a really anemic GDP growth that we've seen across the 2 quarters averaged. It's delusional. But the reporter goes, oh, so I know you've secured 17, but like, what does that mean in people's life? I should let Jessica Tarlov respond to this presser.
Everyone there in Kentucky is very excited about it.
I'm thrilled for the Kentuckians. I think it's a great thing when there is investment, as Dana said. As always, the devil is in the details. He said, hundreds of billions of dollars are coming in, and, people like the European Commission have said, actually, this is an intention, not a guarantee. And the Japanese have said similar. So I hope that it all comes through and that we have a boom of American jobs. But I'm also concerned about the price of these products. When things move back here, there's a reason that people produce in India and in China. It's to keep it quote unquote affordable, which I wouldn't even say the iPhone actually is at this point. So imagine what it's going to be if it's going to be made in Kentucky. As for the manufacturing boom, which he's talking about, in the latest job report, we lost 11,000 manufacturing jobs, and the manufacturing industry has contracted the most that we've seen in the last 9 months. So there is a lot of work to do, but Tim Cook, good.
So he's supposed to be bringing manufacturing jobs. And as she just outlined, it's not working. So we're getting both the negatives of the price increases and negative impacts in the manufacturing industry. Then at this presser, Trump got asked about RFK Jr., the Health and Human Service Secretary, RFK Jr.'s overseeing of
McDonald's cheeseburger.
Overseeing of McDonald's cheeseburgers, overseeing of cuts to investments in mRNA vaccine research.
You were the driving force behind Operation Warp Speed, these mRNA vaccines that are the gold standard. Now your health secretary is pulling back all the funding for research. He's saying that the risks outweigh the benefits, which puts him at odds with the entire medical community and with you. What is going on?
Research on what?
Into mRNA vaccines.
Well, we're going to look at that. We're talking about it, and they're doing a very good job. And, that is...
We are going to look at that. We're talking about it. They're doing a good job. Those are just non sequiturs. They're just kind of like just sprinkled, meaning nothing to what the question was.
A past. With Operation Warp Speed was, whether you're Republican or Democrat, considered one of the most incredible things ever done in this country. The efficiency, the way it was done, the distribution, everything about it has been amazing. But that was now a long time ago, and we're on to other things. But we are speaking about it. We have meetings about it in tomorrow at 12 o'clock, and we'll determine. We're looking for other answers to other problems, to other sicknesses and diseases.
So he's just saying a bunch of mumbo jumbo. He heard the word vaccine and went, "Oh, Operation Warp Speed, the COVID vaccine." That's not. No, why are you cutting now investments in mRNA vaccines? Oh, well, we're going to look at it. We're going to talk about it. They're doing a great job. We did Operation Warp Speed, and so we're doing other things with other topics, with other people, with other rooms in other places that will kind of simulate and figure out what it is that we'll do in the next 2 weeks. And no, the decision was already made. He doesn't know. That's why he went, "What are you talking about?" He doesn't even know. So whether he agrees with it or not, and he seems to, his administration is going to cost lives because of cuts like that. And the reason is, I came across this clip. John Rich, his name is, recounted a conversation that he had with Trump where Trump said, "Why are people booing me at my rallies when I bring up vaccines?" And when Trump brings up Operation Warp Speed, he messed up a bunch with the handling of the pandemic. I will credit him to the extent that he was making the decisions, but it was his administration that Operation Warp Speed was effective, and it was good to develop a COVID vaccine very quickly. Good. And then everything else he did during that time was a disaster. And so that one thing that he did right during the pandemic is what his followers are so mad at him over. And so this it really exploded during COVID. Anti-vax sentiment within his movement is why they're cutting these things. Not because they have new research, they have new reason to believe if we reallocate that here, then we'll see its outcome. It's because they have to do this for their base that is now really anti-vax.
We're sitting there and everybody's eating their food and President Trump is not president at this time, and he's talking to the senators. He's talking about really important stuff, and I'm just minding my own business going, I don't know how I got in this room. Well, okay. I'm sitting elbow to elbow with him. It's about an hour into dinner. I hadn't said a word, just been listening. And Trump gets through eating, and you've seen him do this move right here. Yeah. Wherever in the big boardroom he does this. Okay, that's what he does. He goes, "Can I ask you a question, John Rich?" He never calls me John. John Rich. I look at him, I go, "Yes, sir. What's the question?" He goes, "Well, you do a lot of big shows. Like, you're an entertainer." "Yes, sir." "You play for really big crowds?" I go, "I do. I play for really big crowds for a long time." He goes, "Well, have you seen these rallies I'm doing? Like, it's 30, 40,000 people." I said, "Yeah, it's unbelievable." He goes, "So here's the question. Why are people booing me at my rallies when I bring up the vaccine?" This is the question from the President of the United States. A guy who is...
So then he got booed. Sometimes you wonder, is Trump always leading the base, or is the base leading him? Do they radicalize him, or does he radicalize them? And it's both. So he's radicalized them in many ways. And this is one issue where they booed him into submission, where before he wasn't anti-vax. And then he leaned into it. And now is making highly consequential life or death decisions because of that pressure. Now, John Rich goes on to say, well, the reason is because everyone's falling like flies because of the vaccine. False. This is something, there's this sentiment because a lot of tough, controversial, sometimes incorrect decisions were made during the pandemic era. There's a sentiment to go, that was all, we messed all that up on all the related topics. And there are things that elected officials made bad decisions on, but the vaccine was not one of them. And it did save millions of lives. And it was safe and effective. Now, sometimes they'll go, but you said it was going to keep people from even getting COVID and was going to prevent anyone from sharing to anybody. As we learned more and as the virus continued to develop, what stayed the same was that it did prevent people from being as likely to get seriously ill or die. And it did save so many people's lives. And people died who didn't have to because they didn't get the vaccine, tragically. So make sure you stand strong on that, because I've seen some people be like, yeah, I don't know, that was all. Because we have this deeper question about what went right, what went wrong. The vaccine was one of the things that went right. Very much right. The Daily Beast is reporting, I almost just fainted when I saw this headline. Just because, really, we're doing this again? Trump rants about countries laughing at America in all caps late night meltdown. And this was as he was doing like a Truth Social countdown to tariffs going into effect. And I know what you're saying. Which tariffs? What? I thought they were in effect, or I thought they were paused. I don't know. I apparently they're in effect. The plan. What plan? I don't know. It's so confusing. He keeps changing it and delaying it.
I have concepts of a plan.
Every several days, or after several days, products from nearly 70 countries were hit with tariffs of 10 to 41%. Starting Thursday, risking price increases for everyday goods. So this is the big plan now? 10 to 40% on all these different countries. And Trump continues to insist that, no, my genius plan is working, prices are coming down, and CNN fact-checked that. By the way, while you're watching this, if you appreciate the show even further and want to get the members only bonus show, you can click the join button. That supports the work we do. You get the bonus show. You get the full version of the show without or all at once, so that you don't have to worry about clicking on videos with titles and whatever, and just watch it all in its long form if you consume content that way. And like I said, members only content, join button.
Gasoline is down. It's going to soon, I believe, be less than $2 a gallon. The price of groceries are down. Well, eggs are down. Everything's down. Price is down. The only thing that's up is stock prices. I watch this group of people on CNN and MSDNC too, the same thing, where they say, well, costs have gone up. Costs haven't gone up. They've gone down.
All right, quick reality check before we discuss. Average gas prices, while they are down, nowhere near below $2. In fact, the lowest average in Mississippi is above $2.70. From May to June, from his government statistics, the price of groceries are up. That includes coffee, steak, chicken, apples, and oranges. Also more expensive, clothing, furniture, electronics, and toys. There are prices that are lower or steadier: dairy, cereal, new cars, airfare, and lodging. And because eggs always seem to be a political football, prices are at their lowest since November. However, they're higher than they were a year ago. They're also higher than at any point from March of 2023 to August of last year. And overall, all items in June compared to the same month a year ago have increased 2.7%. Food prices specifically are up 3%. Nina.
So obviously, you all know that, but I just think occasionally we should fact check it. That is today's show. I appreciate all of you so much. If you're listening in the podcast version, rate and review. That would be wonderful. And I'll talk to you all next time.